First gen Pokemon come in all shapes and sizes. Some are fat, some are skinny, some are cute and some are creepy. Some give and some receive. And I, as a great Pokefusion enthusiast, have decided to make a sculpture fusing all 151 Pokemon from the first generation into one single creature. Now before we begin, I would like you to meet someone. This is Lickitung. He's the fusion between Lickitung and Machamp. He likes to swim, to annoy old people, to do sick tricks on his skateboard, and to pet cats. Now you may be wondering, why is Lickitung important to this video? Well, he may not be important, but how he came to be is important. You see, when I'm in a Pokefusing vibe, I like to follow this little rule. One Pokemon for the base of the body and one Pokemon for the details. In this case, Machamp was the base of the body and Lickitung provided the details. That means that for the Mig-L Pokefusion, the first thing that I need to do is to look for Pokemon whose design serves as a good base to start putting features of other Pokemon on top of it. I need someone whose main feature is to have many limbs like Machamp, and if I fuse it with one of the many four-legged Pokemon, I would have a creature with 8 limbs. And I came up with this. I'll be honest, I don't know who's the owner of those 4 legs. I drew them thinking about Arcanine, so for now I leave them as Arcanine's contribution. As you can see, I put the 9 tails from Ninetales. I thought that putting the tail of a different Pokemon in each one of those tails was a big brain move. That way I would kill 10 birds with one stone. But yet, this mythological centaur would be the base on which I would start to put more and more features of other Pokemon, like decorating a Christmas tree, and here is where things start to get complicated. The next step is to hunt each Pokemon and select a unique and identifiable feature of that Pokemon, and I have to put a lot of emphasis on unique because, for example, one of the most iconic features of Charmander is the flame on his tail, but both Charmeleon and Charizard have this flame, so in case of putting a flame on one of the tails, who would be the owner of that flame? Charmander? Charmeleon? Charizard? So the flame on the tail is rolled out. Here everything was a process of trial and error. Select some feature of a Pokemon, put it in the drawing, see if it works, and move on to the next one. So after drawing, erasing, redrawing, erasing again, redrawing again, sharpening the pencil and drawing more and more and more, I ended up with this final design. Final in quotes because there are still like 90 Pokemon that I still have to add, but I think I'm going to put them when I have the main anatomy of the sculpture already done. Here I put other limbs like Paras's pincers, Scorpion King style. Here we have Graveler's arms as a belt. Here is Kingler's pincers, and it's Kingler's, not Kravis. Kravis is different. In fact, I haven't put anything of Krabby yet. And well, as you can see, it has many other things, but we'll talk about that later. For now, it's time to grab this block of polymer clay and start sculpting. At this point, the main pieces of the sculpture were already finished, and to secure them I decided that it was time to bake them. But I realized one thing, and that is that according to my calculations, the body was not going to fit in the oven. Well, technically it did, but it is not ideal that the head and the arms stay so close to the ceiling of the oven, or that the legs get too close to the bottom, so in view of this inconvenience I decided to cut it. These were the main pieces, and yeah, I could have reassembled them, but looking at the guide with all those details, I realized that doing all that with an already assembled figure was going to be harder than slurping spaghetti with your asshole, so I decided to do the details for each piece separately, but before that, it was time to give them a good sanding. Okay, now back to the details. Some details were made with ordinary clay and others with epoxy. These materials don't need heat in order for them to harden, so I didn't have to use the oven again, and I'm glad for that because where I live the electricity bill is extremely expensive. They would even charge you for using fucking candles. Anyway, it wasn't all small details. At this point I also made details and the other arms. And finally, after many f***ing days, all the pieces had their respective details. Now you may be thinking, yay, it is time to build, but no, you little f***ing piece of I'm not going to build this f***ing thing and then paint it. With such complex and intricate pieces, it is easier to paint them separately and then build them. So that's the next step. And now we have all the pieces completely painted, and if you're wondering what the hell is that and that, don't worry, I'll explain that later. For now, it is finally time to build. And that's it! Thank you for watching. Now, after closer inspection, I realized that there's still like 50 Pokemon that are yet to be included. I noticed that some of these Pokemon have wings, and this thing has a wide back, so making some wings was the next step. While I finished attaching the wings, I realized that I still had a little space in the back, so I also put some extra stuff from other Pokemon that I didn't know where else to put. One of the Pokemon I hadn't included yet was Kangaskhan, and after a thorough analysis I realized that she carries a beautiful baby in her belly, so I decided to fuse some Pokemon that I hadn't included yet to create a beautiful baby boy. At last minute I realized that I hadn't put this Pokemon, so... And with that done, this is the result. Usually this is where the video would end, but this video is far from over. Surely many of you are wondering how each Pokemon is included in this abomination, so bring some food, make yourselves comfortable, and let me break down this thing in front of you. So, without further ado, here we have Kingler's pincer, Omastar's eyes, Magikarp's fins, Fearo's mohawk, Raticate's whiskers. The lower jaw of this thing is Grimer's lower jaw, and you know it's Grimer because he's usually depicted having this dangling thing. This thing is from Muk, and this is Lickitung's tongue. These things are from Krabby, this is from Caterpie. Here we have a little Diglett as a pimple, and here we have a little Dugtrio as a triple pimple. The head is a mix between Cubone's and Marowak's head, like these things are from Marowak, and these cracks are from Cubone. These are Gengar's eyes, Porygon's snout, Nidoqueen's lower jaw, Ivysaur's face spots, Articuno's head crown or something, Tentacruel's beak used as a horn, Nidorino's ears, Dragonite's antennae, Spearow's beak, Charmeleon's head knob. Here's a better look. Also, these things are Haunter's head spikes. Here's an even better look. And here you can see one of Cloyster's spikes. That's Lakosam's mustache, and those are Lapras's flippers. And now moving on to the torso, as I said at the beginning, this thing has 4 arms like Machamp. Here we have Dratini's head fin things as shoulder pads. Here we have Rhydon's chest plate with Electabuzz lightning bolt shaped mark. These 2 marks came from Arbok. This thing is Paras's mouth, and the pattern of the belly comes from Sidra. Here we have Graveler's arms as a belt, and these are Machep's side marks. Okay, and now let's take a closer look at the baby because of Kangaskhan, as I said before. This is Pinsir's body with Drowsy's colors and Pikachu's face. Instead of 2 horns, it has 2 heads like the duo. This one is Whittle's face with Clefairy's mouth, Vulpix's tuft and Wartortle's ears. This one is Jigglypuff's head with Psyduck's beak, Raichu's ears and Orishi's lips. The baby also has Mankey's arms, but this one is using Poliwhirl's globe. And those are Bulbasaur's face marks. The upper arms came from Nidoqueen. This one has Jinx's boobs as an ornament or something. The lower arms are a mix between Machoke's and Hitmonlee's arms. This hand came from Mewtwo and it has Starmie's jewel thing. This arm, as I said, came from Nidoqueen, but this one has Kadabra's belly marks as a decoration. This is Magmar's hand with Onix's face as some sort of hand armor or something. And here we have Meowth's coin and Chansey's testicle. As you may have already noticed, it is carrying a pendulum like Hypno, and this pendulum is made out of Ican's body with Bellsprout's head with Rattata's ears, and it is suckling on Magneton. Now, this middle head of Magneton has Shelter's tongue, this one has Tangela's blue spaghetti body, and this one is Ditto disguised as Geodude with a Hitmonchan's globe and Slowbro's tail. I forgot to take a better photo of Slowbro's tail, but that thing you see there, that's the tail. Trust me. This one is Golduck's hand with the Staryu's face jewel thing and it's carrying Farfetch's dildo. Here we have Mr. Mime's arms with Golem's body as the shoulders, holding Parasec's pincers which have Seeking's body marks, Persian's ears and Blastoise cannons. The base of these cannons have Venonat's nose or mouth, I don't know, and Charmander's and Squirtle's arms. And at the front of the cannons we can see Metapod's eyes. The front legs came from Abra and these things came from Primeape. Now this thing came from Scyther's legs and it has this one. It has this one's color and a little bit of his pattern. Now this flame came from Ponyta. Ponyta is the only Pokemon that has fire coming out from this part specifically. And this great thing here, it's one of the Rhyhorn's shoulder pads or something. I don't know what this thing is. And this thing is one of Clefable's wing things. Now this part of the body belongs to Arcanine and these marks here belong to Growlithe. This is Kabutops' head with Venusaur's eyes, Weezing's mark here and half of Coughing's mark here. Here's one of Vileplume's petal as a knee pad. Here we have Kabutops' shell, Tentacle's face, Sandslash's feet and Rapidash's flames. Again, like I said with Ponyta, Rapidash is the only Pokemon that has flames coming out specifically in this part. Okay, now let's move on to the wings. Here we have Charizard's wings with Butterfree's wings pattern. These are Golbat's wings with Venomoth's wings pattern, and these are Zubat's wings with Beedrill's wings pattern. And here we can also see male and female Nidorann's ears. Here at the back we can see one of Gyarados white spiky things. That's Zapdos's beak, that's Moltres' beak, and that's Horsey's little fin, and I know it looks like shit, shut up. Okay, now before moving on to the main tails, let's take a look at the minor tails. So here we have Poliwag's tail, these are Pidgeys, Pidgeottos and Pidgeot's tail, and this is Goldeen's tail. Now, here we can see all the 9 tails from Ninetales. My original plan was that each one would take inspiration from a different Pokemon, but to keep some order in all of this chaos, I decided to keep some symmetry between them. So, here we have Mew's tail, this one is Vaporeon's tail with Dodrio's tail on top, and these are the 2 balls from Dragonair's tail. This one is Aerodactyl's tail, here we can see Taurus's tail, and in the middle we have a fusion between Dugong's and Seal's tails. Now, this little fella is a fusion between Slowbro's tail monster, Weepinbell and Ammonite. It has Flareon's fur tuft, Jolteon's ears, Wigglytuff ears, Eevee's ears, Poliwrath's eyes, and Magnemite's magnets. Because Magneton is pretty much 3 Magnemites attached, there wasn't a feature that Magneton and Magnemite didn't share, but I still wanted to have something that represented Magnemite, and this was the best I could do. Here we have Goldeen's tail once again, and on top of it we can see Big Trevel's leaf. Here we have one of Executor's face with Electro's color pattern as the right testicle, and here we have one of Execute X with Gloom's mouth and Voltorf's color pattern as the left testicle. And finally, we have Kakuna's body with Snorlax's head with Ghastly's eyes as the cock. Okay, and that's it. This took too much time. Leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, I'll send you a little kiss. Okay, bye, take care.